we're approaching the bottom of the hour, I want to get everyone up to speed. We are covering a mass casualty incident overnight in New Orleans. 10 people, at least, were killed when a truck drove into a crowd of New Year's Eve revelers in the city's world-famous French Quarter. A man driving a pickup truck drove through some barricades at a high rate of speed, hitting multiple people. At least 35 were transported to hospitals with injuries. The suspect then got out of his vehicle and shot 2 officers. They were hit and are in stable condition. Law enforcement sources are now telling CBS that the suspect is deceased. His identity has not been released right now. We are also told that possible explosives were found nearby, and it's unclear if they are related to the attack. Now, the FBI will be taking over the investigation.
We're just hearing now from the Associated Press that investigators have reviewed video of 3 men and a woman placing possible explosives around this area. Tracy, this is brand new into our newsroom.
This is very, very similar to the Boston Marathon bombing that was just brought up in the Tsarnaev brothers, where you had 2 of them, right, placing those IEDs. This is not at all surprising, because I do think it would have taken multiple individuals to place the IEDs, plan on where that placement would be, as well as then obviously use the vehicle to ram this crowd. But what that also tells me as well is, look, I'm former law enforcement. I think law enforcement is actually doing an excellent job here, but it seems to me that there may not have been explosive sweeps.
One thing that I heard in Brian's reporting, the last thing he said was talking about the fear, but also the anger, that these bollards weren't up, that the right protection didn't seem to be in place. They were working on it, that much we know. And for people who don't know what a bollard is, those are those short, thick posts that create a barrier. You know, we see them down on Wall Street. You've probably seen them outside of a bank, retailers. They use them so that people can't ram into a bank or a retailer. And we've seen them in some public areas. Not sure exactly. We've got the cars that Brian Enton talked about, police cars that were used to hopefully try to prevent something like this from happening. But, you know, now looking back at it, I mean, this is going to be a huge part of the story, Tracy.
This is going to be a huge part of the story, no question. And you know what's interesting, Laura, is that these bollards were put up in 2017 in this area in direct response to a vehicle terrorist attack by ISIS in Nice, France during Bastille Day. That's why they were put up. And they were refurbishing them, obviously, because of the Super Bowl and the other activities that you had mentioned. One of the things that they failed to do, the bollards, as you mentioned, at banks and the Capitol, all of those places have them, is they typically do extend through the sidewalks. And that's what they didn't have here. Those police cars did block off the street, but as we saw, this terrorist drove up, and as Brian mentioned, up and around the sidewalk. So these bollards didn't extend past there, these makeshift ones. And in my opinion, that was a security issue that was absolutely missed in this case.